Louis C.K. faces new backlash this morning after a taped performance was leaked showing him mocking survivors of the Parkland school shooting and joking about gender identity.
So, what kind of a year did you guys have?
All right there. Oh, incredible, amazing, superb. Thank fuck for Louis C.K. If you haven't already heard, I'll leave a link to the video in the description. It's only audio, but it's a bootleg that's going around. Louis C.K. performed a 45-minute set in a little venue in New York. And it's fucking brilliant. It is exactly why he's a fantastic comedian. Even after the damage and the nonsense and the bullshit he went through, oh, and the financial kick in the nuts, a kick in the overused nuts, we could say. At one point in the set, he says he lost 35 mil in like a day. Ouch. But it's just superb, and there's so much to say about this. His opening line, I mean, there's a little bit of crowd work, a couple of words here and there, but then the first bit of clearly prepared material, he sort of takes a breath and says, "So, what kind of a year did you lot have?" Something like that. The obvious hilarity being we know what kind of shit year he had. It's so good. Louis C.K. is a fantastic comedian, and I'm so glad that his apology for asking for consent. Let's not forget, that's what Louis C.K. got in trouble for. He asked for consent. Can I wank off in front of you? It's a yes or a no answer. I'm forgiving him for his little apology for that, because when we're under pressure, when things have occurred quickly, when we're unprepared, we do stupid things. I have learned as I get older not to respond to my first response, so to speak. You know, if what I want to say, no, hold back, give yourself some time. And I'll usually go 3, 4, 5, 6, down the list a bit. And when I get to like the 8th or 9th kind of response, it's usually I'll start approaching something sensible, worthwhile, that's actually going to benefit me in the situation. If I outright just have that first one, which is like a mess of fight or flight and over-determined, like I spoke about in my last video, over-determined by things like anger and fear and jealousy and rage. You know, these aren't the emotions you want involved, especially when you're in the public eye, like Louis C.K., especially when you're getting your eye out in public, like Louis C.K., etc., etc. So I forgive him that, but what he's done is just what he's good at. He's doing stand-up comedy, and he's amazing at it. He is the performer of a generation. This man, for me, is part of the canon of great, honest, groundbreaking, limit-transcending, storyteller, kind of self-depreciating, sort of, you know, your Lenny Bruce, Doug Stanhopes, Richard Pryor. He's in that line, and that is royalty. These people are comedy royalty. You know, they often talk about people, performers, but comedians especially, finding your voice. You know, I done stand-up for 10 years, and around like year 4 or 5, agents and promoters, other comedians, friends, you know, I started getting that you've really found your voice. And while it's true to an extent, it kind of harbours a lie, or certainly is some kind of disguised irony, because what happens is the act of getting on stage, the act of framing yourself as a performer in a performance causes you to lose your voice. You've already got your voice. You know your voice because it's you. You have it. You use it. And this is why people are very good at telling stories in the boozer, hilarious in the college canteen. And then they'll get on stage and everyone's a bit, oh, this is no good. They think they're going to be great. And you kind of have to. There's a certain arrogance around performers. There's certainly comedians. Like if you're a guitar player, you practice in your bedroom, your mum's basement, the local church hall, whatever. You get good. You get good. And then when you're excellent, you go on stage in front of people and it's literally like, check out what I've put 1,000 hours into. Stand-up comedy, you get good at it live. You practice it live. You have to do it to get better. You learn the craft of stand-up in front of an audience. Would you bring an audience in to watch you practicing your G major and your A minor? No. But with stand-up, you have to. And that process, that... Again, I'm not talking about if you're a character act or if you're telling jokes. I mean, let's be honest, it's only your auntie that likes those kind of comedians. But real comics, you know, anecdotal comics, people who talk about things. But for comedians who have a social function in as much as they bring into the light of a community the things that we struggle to talk about, the things that there's moral, ethical, social, cultural, historical, legal, all sorts of pressures on, which cause us to struggle to share and speak about socially. The comedians that stand on stage and get that stuff out, giving us an arena where we can think about them, where we can laugh with each other. That laughter signaling and recognition and identification. You know, when a comedian says something a little bit appalling about masturbation or sex or your relationship with your mother, whatever, the reason everyone laughs is because they're like, yeah. Not necessarily that's the same as me, but certainly I understand that because I have a similarity there. And when we laugh, we're communicating to the rest of the room. Yeah, I mean, I get that. I have similar stuff and it's tricky. That's what we do. And Louis C.K. is just a genius at it. And so he got in a bit of trouble, didn't he? He asked for consent and, oh, they didn't like it. But this comeback, the media reporting on it is pure hysteria. Madness. It's an effervescent, gay, ugly volcano of grievance culture spaffing out all over the internet. Like, I've read at least five, and this was like a cursory, like, little... After I saw the video, I thought, I wonder how this is being received. I did not prepare for what I saw. I mean, perhaps I should have guessed. But he's been labelled many times. Like I say, my little glance 5, which would suggest, knowing how these stupid, pathetic, pointless left-wing SJW fucking bullshit fountains work, there'll be many more. Louis C.K. is alt-right. Yeah, I was called alt-right. Oh, I told you before, if you don't know, I was listening to London radio. There was a thing on about comedy. And the interviewer said, I was in Soho at the time, and the interviewer said, it's weird, isn't it? It's sort of comedy is kind of consumed, it's dominated by the left, isn't it? And I can't remember her name, some proper NPC comic. She went, well, yes, thankfully, all this kind of stuff. And then he went, are there any right-wing comedians? And she went, well, there's Andrew Lawrence, he's right-wing. And then she said, and there's Chris Dangerfield, who I think identifies as alt-right. What? When? Just incredible. Just grab it out of the air. Fucking Kate Smurthwaite the other day accused someone on telly of being alt-right. Do they know what it means, or doesn't it matter? I mean, I listened to the whole of Louis C.K.'s set. I didn't hear any ethno-state stuff. I didn't hear much of him sort of defending a white homeland. You know, it's just, there is no alt-right politics in there. None, nil, nothing, not even a nod in the head. Now, of course, of course not. It doesn't have to be. Because what they mean by Louis C.K. is alt-right, or he's pandering to alt-right, or because he's in so much trouble, he can only use the alt-right as an audience. What? Both of them? What? Millennial Woes and Richard Spencer? Is that what you're saying? Because he got in trouble, he's had to find a new audience, and it's those two. I mean, the alt-right, I know the sort of libtard bullshit fountain media has invented that monster. They need a bogeyman. Of course they need that. Well, where would we be without one? You know, let's not actually pretend we're actually getting on as people, and there are real bogeymen, but they may not be named, etc. So they need one, but it's not many people. And if you're looking to the alt-right as your new audience, prepare to starve. It's just a nonsense. So there's that, and then they're saying he's laughing at the kids who got killed in that school. Oh, there was a school shooting and 16 kids died. He's laughing at them. He's not. these cunts are dumb. They know what they're doing. I hope they know what they're doing. They're just lighting the fuse of another grievance. But at no point does he laugh at dead people. At no point is he taking the piss out of dead people. What he says is, why do you think you're interesting? Because you're a kid who went to a school that got shot up. Why am I having to listen to you? You just pushed a fat kid in the way so you didn't get shot. Oh, it's almost like he's not actually constructing an argument. It's almost like he's, I don't know, as a comedian. I know it's a bit of a reach for social justice warriors, but he's trying to make people laugh. And they do. The set is brilliant. It is just massive laugh after massive laugh after massive laugh. Who are these people protecting? Who are these journalists actually looking after when they're condemning Louis C.K. for being hilarious? It's just bizarre. You know, one of the things you really want as a comedian, it's the rolling laughter. It's where the laughter from a previous gag hasn't quite subsided and the next lot comes on. Very rare. It's rare because it's physically difficult to do as a human. You know, it takes some kind of skill, almost yogic breathing, and you can only do it when you've got that actual real life reflex action of laughter that I talked about before, where you've heard something, you've identified something, and you want to share it. And these aren't conscious things. These are things that happen unconsciously. And to get that rolling laughter and to get it from enough people that you can, it's actually an audible thing, is incredible. And he does it in that set time and time again. It's 45 minutes masterclass in stand-up comedy, whilst taking into account what he's been through. All right. What? And of course now Twitter's gone absurd. Oh, you know, those blue check marks, they don't like it. They're just angry. They're angry that he's come back, that he's dared to do his job again. Oh, come on, man, you made a mistake. In the eyes of NPC grievance culture, the absolute insanity of political correctness, in those people's eyes, that pissy little minority, you made a mistake. How dare you come back and try and feed yourself and do what you're good at and bring joy and laughter to millions? How fucking dare you? And he does it, and they're angry. They're having it. At one point, he dares take the piss out of non-binary people. He says about them. He says they're like royalty. What? Oh, you must address me as this. And it's a great point. Oh no. That the normal pronouns don't work for me. I have a more higher, refined. You must call me. No, fuck you. And he says that. What? There's a bit where he says, no, I identify as there. You must call me there because I identify as a location. He's like, yeah, your mother's cunt. It's just brilliant. But oh no, they're a protected group, the non-binaries, the trans, anyone, everyone. They've all been co-opted and hijacked into the intersectional feminist fucking agenda because they realise that, oh, women actually do have the same rights as men, so we need to hijack every other fucking minority cause. I wonder whether that'll come around to white people when they actually realise we're a minority in our own countries. I wonder how their intersectionality, I wonder how flexible and welcoming their intersectionality will be then. I can't imagine it being great. But anyway, because Louis C.K. is laughing at non-binary people, now we have to understand these people are spasticated, they're mental, they're not as clever, they're not as strong. Not as strong as normal people, so they need to be protected. No jokes about non-binary people. Now, do they want to be part of society? Do they want equality? Because equality would assume they also get the piss taken out of them like everyone else does by comedians. Is it yes to them being a normal part of society, or are they some kind of hideous anomaly spastification and therefore have to be treated different, perhaps like children or retards? I mean, you tell me. I can't quite work out how it works. But if you do ring that bell, bing, if you do press that buzzer, bzz, of course you're all right. Big problems. It's fucking madness. Thank the Lord for Louis C.K. though. It's brilliant. He's so funny. He's excellent at it. That voice, the voice I was talking about, oh, I am prone to a bit of tangenting. But what happens is when you get on stage, when you're framed as a performance, when you are performing, you lose your voice. And the act of getting good, acting is to do. The act of getting good is about relaxing. The stagecraft you learn is about being yourself. By finding your voice, it's the one you left on the seat when you stepped on the stage. And to be able to do that conversationally, totally relaxed, and be likable. I've always said this, first rule of comedy, be likable. He's done that after all that shit slinging. Oh, he's a rapist. Oh, he's a power hungry, sex mad fucking spawn of Weinstein, 4-penis, 7-handed, grabbing comedy cock god. After all that, the man got on stage and entertained people. And this is where it's beautiful. This is where the free market will prove its worth, and it will prove his worth. Because he's excellent. I'll leave a link in the description. You've absolutely got to watch it. Check out what the media are saying about it. Check out on Twitter what the fucking moaners, the outrage train are going on about. It's like, hang on, how much further from reality do you people really want to be? Because from where I'm standing, he's doing a perfect example of his job. Well done, Louis C.K. Long may it continue.
Thanks for watching.
And when I was like 18 to my 20s, I mean, we were idiots. We were getting high, doing fucking mushrooms and shit. And then older people were like, you gotta get your shit together. And we were like, yeah, fuck you. And I was kind of excited to be in my 50s and see people in their 20s and be like, they're crazy. These kids are nuts, but they're not. They're fucking, they're just boring. Fucking telling them, you shouldn't say that. What are you, an old lady? What the fuck are you doing? That's not appropriate. Fuck you, you're a child. Why are you finger fucking each other and doing jello shots? Like, why aren't you? You should address me. They're like royalty. They tell you what to call them. You should address me as they, them. Because I identify as gender neutral. Oh, okay. Okay. You should address me as there. Because I identify as a location. And the location is your mother's cunt.